Welcome back to episode 7 of Scrub Thing, guys. Before we start, I'm sure you've enjoyed the last 2 episodes, which we both really enjoyed making, of our 3 months in Margate. So today's episode, we're probably going to talk about something a bit more serious. And as you probably read in the title, it's about to intercalate or not to intercalate. So I'm conscious we have a lot of viewers that are medics, people going into medical school, and people that just kind of enjoy the madness me and Amz got up into medical school. So I'll explain what intercalating is. Essentially, a conventional medical degree is 5 years. For some people, if you go through an access course, it may be 6 years. And during the medical school periods, after preclinical years, so after the first, second year where you do the vast majority of your days in lecture theatres, you can take a break from medicine. It doesn't mean we're all taking a break and not going into medicine. It means you can take a year out and do another degree and essentially get a BSc out of it. So you can do 3 years worth of work in 1 year and get 2 degrees out of medical school. So being a doctor and another degree. Bear in mind, a lot of people get hate for it.
People hate us, man. People hate us to be able to do that degree.
So yeah, essentially, you can be a bit cheeky and basically study an extra year and get another degree. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so you just basically get put in with third years.
Yeah.
Usually on another course.
Yeah. And the reason why they allow you to do that is they feel the first 2 years of medical school is equivalent to any other standard conventional science degree per se.
But you can do different degrees because there's a lot of people now doing like philosophy
and management,
humanities, management, business management, all of those stuff. So I think you can actually do almost
anything now. Yeah.
Anything.
So that's the principle as to why you may be thinking, what, these guys get to do an extra year, get a degree. But yeah, the vast majority of degrees are based on stuff like physiology, pharmacology, a bit more in-depth. And now there are other topics such as business management, philosophy, ethics, etc.
And you don't need to do a bachelor's as well, so you can do a master's.
Exactly.
And you can do an intercalated PhD. Now, intercalated PhDs, obviously, you still spend 4 years. Isn't it 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years, I think, still on it. So you can do different types of degrees as well in between all of that. So yeah, that's intercalation.
So essentially, you take a break from medical school, you go out, you can stay at the university you're studying, or you can go to a different university, do a degree there, graduate, you have like a full graduation ceremony, you get a certificate, and then you come back and pursue medicine and you finish off.
It's important, man. Like, you study medicine so long, obviously, and our parents were always on our case, like, when you're going to graduate, when you're going to graduate, when you're going to graduate.
Yeah.
I just remember part of the decision why I actually intercalated was also, I just want to give them a ceremony.
Yeah.
I just want them to celebrate whatever.
But remember what happened to mine, innit? Guys, we didn't celebrate my graduation for intercalated BSc.
I tell the story.
So, because it is the same as doing another degree, you graduate, same as everyone else, you get your certificate. At the time, my parents, they weren't too keen. So I told them, I'm taking a year out. And I said to him in such a way, medicine is long enough. And bear in mind, my dad's thinking, when is he going to start finishing education? When is he going to start working? It's taking a bit longer than what anticipated. Bear in mind, a conventional degree is 3-4 years. And I said, I'm doing this research thing. I'm going to graduate. Do you not want to come? And he said, you're going to graduate for medicine? I said, no. It's a different degree. He goes, fine. Don't tell us about graduation until it's the real graduation. So, unfortunate for me, I didn't have a graduation for my intercalated BSc. No one turned up. I didn't turn up. No one turned up. Whereas Amz had like a full-on ceremony. And I'm sure if you go on Instagram, what's your Instagram? Amz or something?
Amz Chowdhury.
You can see the day when he celebrated it with his family, which was really nice to see.
Oh, man. I regret one huge thing that I did for my graduation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was mad into hairstyles.
Yeah.
Bro, do you remember I used to have that line?
Slit.
that slit.
And your eyebrows as well?
No. Bro, my parents would kill me if I had it in my eyebrows. I had it. So, you know what it was? At first, it started off as a partition line along the side.
Yeah.
Right. And that's allowed. My parents would allow that. They wouldn't beat me up for that. And then what happened was the barber would slowly move it in and make it look more like hip. Yeah. So what happened was that line moved from like the edge, right, almost into the middle.
Okay.
So I used to look like a right punk. And now when I look at my graduation photo, it's just
I know the picture. I can see it in my head. But funny enough, so when you're growing up, you want to be like the cool kids on the block and whatnot. And you used to get slit eyebrows, right?
Yeah.
So I was in year 5 or year 6, right? And I wanted to get slit eyebrows. So people that know slit eyebrows is basically when, like, let me see my glass. So you get slit eyebrows here and here, right?
Only proper roadmen do
So
that.
this is what. So I told my mum, right? My mum is super strict. So I told my mum, "Yo, mum, I'm gonna get slit eyebrows, etc. You know, I'm gonna look sick." And then she was like, "Are you crazy? I'm gonna beat you up." Yeah. So then I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna be a rebel. I'm gonna do my own slit eyebrows. So I went into the bathroom, and you know you get them disposable razor, right? But in the barber shop, they have a thin blade, so you cut it and it's thin, right?
Yeah.
So, but they go like that, very thin. So imagine I use a disposable blade, but the blade is this thick, right?
Yeah.
So I went like that to do a slit. So instead of doing a slit, I took out this chunk of my eyebrow in it, and I had half an eyebrow, and I was crying, bro. I was in year 6, crying, and at the time I remember my mom was praying, and I went and I sat next to her, and I just looked at her and I said, "Yo, I messed up." And then you know what she did? She got a big biro and she colored in my eyebrow, bro. And I went into school the next day, and people were like, "What happened to your eyebrow?" I said, "Nah, I got into a fight and I scraped against the wall, so it came off."
People believe that.
Yeah, they believe. Well, when you're 6, alhamdulillah, I was like, it grew back. But that's how bad it was. We're going off topic massively.
No, it's important, bro. I messed up my graduation day with one hairstyle. I took it off my Instagram.
Did you?
I think
is it still there? All right, guys.
I don't know.
If you find it, go on his Instagram and just write
We'll
comments.
post a scrubbed in if we get another 500 followers.
Yeah, if you get 500 followers,
that's
we'll
the
put
deal.
a scrubbed in.
Anyways,
so that's a bit more about what an intercalated BSc is or intercalated bachelor's is. So we'll start with you. What you did, where you went, and what made you think of that decisions. And we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so for my intercalated degree, I actually went to Imperial. So I went from King's over to Imperial to do the cardiology BSc. I loved the heart. You know, the heart was my favourite organ throughout the whole preclinical years of medicine. And I really wanted to sort of do something different. I wanted to go into a different environment. And I also at the time knew that it was really competitive, and it was basically a very what's the word I'm looking for? Is it prestigious, the course that I'm looking at? Very competitive.
And it wasn't. What was the talk like? From someone that didn't go Imperial, what was the full title of the course? Cardiovascular Sciences or something?
It was Medical Sciences with Cardiovascular something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Really popular
cardiology. It was one of the popular ones there. There was Surgical Sciences, and then they had endocrinology and things like that. But their BScs were very sort of medically orientated, rather than having something like biomedical sciences or biochemistry or physiology or something
pharmacology.
like that.
So what did you need to do to get in? Did you need to give like a CV, or was it like a normal application process?
It was like applying to uni again. So I remember, so you had to provide they might have changed it. So at the time I had to provide a transcript to show all of my academic scores, my decile ranks, to show where I ranked in my year and things. And then after that I had to submit a personal statement, right? So I had to write another fresh statement to say why I wanted to do cardiology. And then after that, I don't think there was interviews. So I think they just reviewed that.
Yeah.
And I think the way it works is that, so the course it's got a few biomedical sciences third year students, and then it's got sort of all of their medics who are intercalating. So I think 50% of places for them and 50% for everyone else across the country. So yeah, that was it, and I got in, and I just remember being really happy that I got in to Imperial to study there with a different cohort, different environment. But man, when I found out which campus the BSc is, my heart broke, man. So obviously you're thinking you're gonna be in South Kensington.
Yeah, the Science Museum and stuff like that, innit?
Yeah, so you got the Science Museum there, and it's just very highly built, sort of posh area. Bro, I was put in White City.
What? It's Stratford?
White City? No.
Shepherd's Bush.
West London.
Yeah,
Shepherd's Bush.
yeah. Why?
Yeah. And then obviously Westfield is over to the relatively nice side. I was in some dungeon in some corner, Hammersmith Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And it was isolated, man. Like you never got to see any of the nice bits of Imperial. So you know that whole year, man. It was depressing.
Do you know
bro.
how I describe a BSc, or when people come to me, should I do a BSc or not? I describe it as a bittersweet. Yeah, there are days where you love it and you're like, oh my days, this is sick. And there are days you're like, why on earth did I leave medicine to do this? Or I can't wait to go back to med school. Do you know what? It's one of them, and it's like, it wasn't amazing. Like, wow, I'll do it. I would never do a BSc again, ever.
It's difficult. It's mad difficult.
But yeah, we'll talk about that a bit more.
Do you know what it is? So going on to that topic, right? it's completely different. When I look back, right, I don't regret it in a sense, because the skills I got from my BSc are skills that I wouldn't have ever gotten from medicine.
I agree, 100%.
Right? Would you agree if we say that BScs and MScs are way harder than medicine? What do you think?
I definitely agree. One of the reasons is the way we are assessed in med school. I think the vast majority of the country is multiple choice questions. You get like 100 and it's the single best answer, or 1 to E and then you rank it. Whereas these, because it's a conventional degree, what I didn't realize was there are actually sitting exams where you're writing out. And the last time I wrote out for a piece of exam was in like college, bro.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? But they cover a lot more content in a lot more depth compared to medicine than we do. And the exams are longer and they're writing out essays, like proper banging out essays. And I'm not used to that, so I had to change the way I revised it, change the way I studied for these exams, because it's a whole different ballgame, man, and it's a lot harder than, don't get me wrong, medical school exams are tough, but I genuinely believe that people that do conventional degrees, fair credit to them, and they're massive. I admire them in all of them, because they're doing essays, bro, mad essays.
Once I got into that BSc, then I realized how tough it is doing those, sort of getting examined like that. I think medicine is pattern recognition. You put together signs and symptoms and you come up with differentials and so forth. Or the preclinical years, again, a bit of pattern recognition. You can put an image together and find the right answer. We had a few essays here and there, but like histology and things like that, I think.
But even they counting for like such a minute part of the year. The vast majority of med school is half is practicals, OSCEs, and half is like single best answers. We'll talk about that in another episode. But fair credit to all the people that do normal conventional degrees, because it's super hard, because you're writing essays, you're revising from textbooks, whereas and a lot of times they don't get they get lecture notes, but it's not enough. They need to do a lot of outside and background reading, whereas in medicine we've got the lecture notes and we know the books to go and revise from, so we're kind of spoon-fed and handed on a plate. Do you know what I mean? Because there's only 2 or 3 different books you can revise from. The lecture notes are the same and it's basic principles to a certain degree, whereas these subjects, there's hundreds of books to choose from. The lectures are sparse and it's difficult.
Let me tell you, there was this one topic. So my BSc, right, it was quite notorious for being difficult, difficult in terms of getting a first. I didn't know that, by the way. When we go a little bit on, we'll tell about how to pick a BSc, but I didn't know that there was only one person who got a first in the year prior to me, and that person got it through a Viva. So that meant that he didn't get a first in the exams, he had to be assessed. So a Viva is basically you get questioned on a project or something like that, and it can boost your grade. So he got a first through that, and it was notorious for people not getting first. So when I heard that, when I got in, I was like, damn, right. Anyways, so when I got to Imperial, it was really difficult, bro. Did I tell you? My first exam, it broke my heart. My first exam, I think I got the lowest score in the whole cohort.
Is it?
Bro, I got 2-2.
So
I got a 2-2. It broke my heart. Like, I've never failed an exam, and I've never, been at the bottom of the pile. Never been on the opposite scale.
But for me, I was used to being on that half of the table on the top, whereas me, I'm on this half of the table.
Nah, stop lying, man. Stop lying. But he's lying. He's being humble. So
what happened afterwards? So 2-2.
So I got a 2-2, and at the time, that was when I started to pick up lots of different projects, gym and everything, and it hurt, man. Like, I just remember walking around like a zombie for a couple of days. Like, I got a 2-2, man. I got a 2-2. And then I went home, I was moaning to my mum for a bit. Mum, I think I picked the wrong BSc. I think I want to drop out. I actually considered dropping out.
Seriously?
Because I think, do you remember at the time, lots of people said, what's the point of doing a degree and getting a 2-2 when people can get 2-1s quite easily if you just put in a decent amount of work.
True.
And I found it unbelievably difficult. Anyways, so it turned, the story wasn't happily ever after story. So I worked my ass off for the next 6 months, because the finals were in February and my first exam was maybe in September. Right? I literally stopped going gym. I stopped eating. I went into my room and I would come out just for lectures, just to revise, because I was not gonna get a 2-2. But by the end of the year, man, thankfully, alhamdulillah, I got a first, man, and there was only 4 of us. I got it in the whole cohort.
And I know your BSc is notorious. Imperial in general is very notorious with handing out like a first. I know there's other unis and certain typical BScs that you go to if you want it easy first.
Yeah. Don't mention that because we get marked.
Yeah.
So don't mention any universities.
Yeah, no.
They can message us.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
But as in certain ones are just easy based on someone that's a medic because you're so used to revising a lot. So these ones, they don't require that much revision. Also, you're so used to like revising a fair bit, like half the amount of time you can still get out first in that regards as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, fair credit to you for getting up first, especially in a place like Imperial where they're very notorious to give out first. So it shows how smart and really what you did.
It was crazy, man. The environment nearly killed me as well, man. It was like, imagine going there, right? I remember, I think I propped up on my first day, right? And I went there. I was pretty chuffed, like Imperial student for this year.
Yeah,
big guest. Anyways, and I just hear you have to remember these guys. I think they're actually like, there must be upper class people, bro.
Yeah.
So they're a complete different environment. And I hear one guy go, "My father treated Didier Drogba's knee for an ACL repair."
Wow.
Didier Drogba's a Chelsea striker, by the way. He's now retired, I think. But anyways, I was like, whoa. Obviously, these guys, they're having a convo and they're thinking about the operation that he had and the details of that. I'm just there like, whoa, your father treated Didier Drogba. Like, what?
It's normal for them. They're in such a different world that it's just normal for them to have a conversation like that.
It was when I met some serious people over there.
Yeah.
But it was cool. And, bro, there was one more topic, right? Did you know that p-values apparently mean nothing?
Man, I'll be honest. For all my stats, I used to call you in a panic and t-test, e-test, whatever you call it, q-test, chi-squared, whatever. I used to call you and ask for your help because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it today. Stats or statistics is not for me. But tell me, because I'm glad to hear something.
You're going to tell your story about your statistics story.
Yeah.
But anyways, the p-value, right? There was this one module where this genius guy came in. I forgot his name. I'll link it. Anyways, he goes around basically for pharmaceutical companies and he'll sort of either expose data to show that, look, yeah, they rigged it like this and the p-value is... So if a p-value is less than 0.05, it means that it's significant and the effect comes about. And he just somehow proved that it makes no sense. Like, to this day, I don't care. Like, I discarded that knowledge after my BSc. But yeah, like, I don't know, man. I don't know about the p-value. Like, it doesn't make sense.
So the story was basically... so the BSc I did was basically at King's. It was called Regenerative Medicine and Innovation Technology. It was basically like two separate things combined as one. And you can pick and choose the different modules and pick and choose the research. So my BSc was very interesting. And there was a particular reason as to why I pursued it, which we can talk about in depth. But obviously with every BSc you have to do like for me it was like a 15,000 word thesis. And naturally you need to have statistics. It's like a proper thesis. And I've never done a thesis. I've never done coursework since like college. GCSEs. Not even A-levels, you don't do coursework. It's like these little exams. The standard
biology, chemistry,
physics and then maths. So it's just exams,
so
isn't
you
it?
didn't
So you won't do
coursework.
coursework. So he's just sitting there writing and his finger, and then he used to put all these numbers, and it took forever. And I remember I called him. I was like, "Bro, I don't understand nothing. I don't understand." T-test is the simplest statistic test. It's like two pairs and finding out if there's a difference or not, or something like that. And even that was panicking. I was having a meltdown. So I called him. I was like, "Bro, help me. I'm using this software. It doesn't." And you know when you use statistic software, that software belongs in the 80s, bro.
Yeah,
it's so and they use this ugly color grey.
Windows 92 or something.
It is.
Yeah.
Buzz, isn't it? So I asked him, and he kind of spent ages on the phone teaching me, making me go through it and understand it. But yeah.
Well, you were dying. I just remember it was like midnight. I was revising, and I just get a call, and he's like, "Yo," and I wasn't picking up at the time. I remember because I was revising, so I was like, "I'll chat to you later." Anyways, you're like, "Nah, pick up now." Yeah. So I'm like, "Oh man, this guy's disrupting my flow." And I pick up the phone. Like, "Yo, what's up?" And it's like, "Yo, man, my experiments are failing."
Yeah.
What's a t-test?
Where my experiments failed, you know. That's another thing. BScs and PhDs. Out of 100 experiments, 99 will fail. So my project was So of the innovation tech we can talk about separately, but so the reason as to why I did the BSc was at that time in med school I wanted to become a surgeon, ideally an orthopedic surgeon, because I was fascinated by bone and I like that type of surgery. And the BSc added what you could do like bone related projects. So my project was, it was quite cool, is basically creating a scaffold to help cartilage repair. So basically having an injection with materials that once you inject it into the kneecap, it forms into a scaffold with lots of stem cells or like cartilage cells that grow and help repair. Because obviously for the medics that are out there, cartilage doesn't have a blood supply, so when you hurt it, it takes longer to heal.
You see that knowledge?
I'm so smart.
You see that knowledge?
So basically, we were planning to create a injectable material that once it injects into cartilage, it forms into a scaffold and allows cells to form and help repair, etc., etc. But we were using so many complicated chemicals and acids and X, Y, and Z, and every time it failed. So basically, you want to put it in a certain temperature to start making a gel. So you mix it and it's watery, and the test was you flip it, and then if it's a gel, it will stick to the top. Or it will just form, or it will run down. 99 times the time it was just running down, and it's like, and doing a research-based BSc is frustrating, and you need to have patience. My God, because there's times you have to wait hours on end for things to mix. I'm using things like centrifuge machines and things like little spins and pipetting, and at one point I was using cells, and I don't understand none of it.
I think you need to tell them about that story when you one day clocked all of the smashed equipment was.
So basically, if people that it's called acetone. So acetone is a chemical used to clean products, to clean things, and I used to go through liters of it. So they had to bring in bottles of it, right? And we used to work in a fume cupboard.
Imagine having 20 staff members all doing research, right? They're all using that same fluid. And they can use one big bottle, which goes through a month, and you come along as the most junior guy there, and they need to order 20 new bottles.
Because I used to mix my thing in acetone to let it form into some. I'm not going to talk about it. It's just really complicated. So what with acetone is once you've used it, you're supposed to dispose it in a certain bottle, and you can't fill it to the top, and you can't screw the lid shut, and you leave it in a fume cupboard. So I didn't know all of these policies and stuff like this. What I used to do, I used to fill it to the brim, and then I used to close the lid shut. And for the next few days, every morning, we used to walk in and find like smashed, like these big bottles smashed into pieces, and there's wood, like acid on the floor, broken shards of glasses. And I used to think, like, who on earth, is responsible for this? Like, how are these glasses smashing and breaking? Like, come on, something's going wrong, some sort of chemical reaction. Or people are mixing different chemicals in one, because it's proper. We were using dangerous stuff. When it shows the skull sign. We were using that. Then later, the technician must have found me, and fair credit, he helped me so much. He said, I think I figured it out. Abdul, I think it's you that's responsible for all these smashed glasses that we walk into every day in the morning.
How did you take that? Someone accusing you.
I was like, to be fair, like, I'm used to it, being told off from time to time. So I was like, what do you mean? He's like, mate, basically, with acetone, you can't fill it to the brim, and you can't close the lid shut because it expands apparently. And because I'm putting so much full of other stuff in it, it's exploding in the fume cupboard. Luckily, it happened in the fume cupboard. So it will smash it, and then there'll be remnants. But if that was in the open, it would have burst. After that day, I was so scared, man. I just think, oh my days, it's going to like burst into my face. I'm going to die.
It's causing explosions in there.
Man, it was manic. So that was the project I did, basically creating some sort of aid or some sort of material to help cartilage repair. At the end, the experiment did work, and I enjoyed it. And it's basically biomaterials. So it's basically working on biomaterials and adapting it for the human body to help repair. I enjoyed it because I'm into a lot of like DIY stuff, materials and stuff.
That was
like
your passion before medicine, remember? You said
so because it's all like architect, design, drawing, creating materials, building things. So I enjoyed that. Hence why I wanted to become an orthopedic surgeon. I loved screwing, drilling, etc. Stuff like that. Remember when I said even before med school, like DIY, helping build wardrobes and whatnot. So that was the BSc. I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed it a lot. But I later realized that being in a lab every day, it wasn't something I enjoyed. It wasn't something for me. And the funny thing was, I was at Guy's Tower, 17th floor, so the tissue engineering department, and you can look down and see Guy's campus. And I remember I used to look and I could see the medics, and I used to think, some days were rough, and you're working hard, and you're there after hours, and it's not working, and you have to restart again.
All the lab people know about that.
Yeah, especially the PhD people. So I'm gonna clap for them right now because it's tough, man. And I remember looking there and I just think, I can't wait to go back to medicine. I can't wait to finish this BSc. It's such a rough time, and I had no mates. Like I did a BSc that was unconventional at the time. Remember?
Yeah. People didn't want.
Yeah, they didn't want to do this BSc.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. People didn't understand it. Looking back, that BSc was very, very important, and one of the reasons as to how my life kind of pivoted post graduation. But
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by pivot?
So the first half was the tissue engineering, biomaterials. But remember, the second part was innovation technology. So everyone kind of talks about med tech, med school, all of this stuff. But I did a BSc in innovation technology.
You did like business plans and stuff.
So in 2014. So I did it years ago. So that part was amazing, and that changed my world, man. That opened up my eyes. So what they taught us was how to basically take an idea and bring it to fruition, to bring it to life. So, and I'm talking about med tech ideas like products, syringes, like advanced tech. People are talking about med tech, but we were studying this like years ago. Do you know what I mean? And it's like how to write a business plan, how to get funding, how to do pitch, how to get grants, how to protect your work, how to get patents, the CE mark, trademark, copyright. And as medics, you will never ever learn that unless you run your own startup or you're doing that. So it fascinated me, and it should open up my world. And like how inhalers were made, pumps, and like the real money in medicine, in healthcare. People like GlaxoSmithKline just come in and
dollar
talk.
signs in your eyes, bro.
Do you know what I mean? And it was like, even now I get excited talking about like it opened up the world of startups for me, man. And I remember we had people saying, and I just created a device and I sold it for £80,000, or the princess from Saudi Arabia who has asthma wanted a gold-plated salbutamol inhaler. I sold that for £35,000. And he goes, the cufflinks I'm wearing are 20 grand a pop. Do you know what I mean?
Mad.
As medics, the vast majority of medics don't do medicine because of the money. We do it because we want to help others. So there I saw, and they used to tell us about experiments of basically how they used to go between the UK and Ireland, and you can't do like embryo or you can't do those type of stem cell research because it's illegal in this country, and I'm not sure what the laws are in Ireland. So they used to take a boat, go to the middle of this sea between Ireland and the UK, and do experiments there, do product testing there, because they weren't bound by any laws, and then take it to Ireland and then bring it back. Like all this crazy stuff in the world of medicine and healthcare.
That's what you learn all your illegal activities from then,
So like, and I feel the skills I learned from doing a BSc, it increased my lateral thinking. I don't know if the terminology is correct, but as a medic, I was thinking a certain way, is rote memory, pattern recognition. But when doing the BSc, especially for biomaterials, but innovation tech, it taught me to think differently, see things in a bigger picture, how to make an idea come into reality. And we can talk about all the different startups we did, all the society work, etc. And I think that helped all. And one of the reasons I'm grateful now is it taught me how to run a business, how to grow a business, how to even, get a company registered, all these bits and bobs. Writing a business plan is hard.
It is. It's tough.
You lot had coursework. My coursework was writing a business plan for an idea. Do you know what I mean? And then we used to pitch, and there was lots of different people. It was a very good BSc. So for people that are interested in medtech and innovation technology, or even want to do orthopedic surgery or dentistry, King's College London has a BSc called Regenerative Medicine and Innovation Technology, and that will teach you a lot about business and startups and tech.
For this,
Yeah,
you just gave a
I gave them the biggest plug ever, but I'm grateful for them for the opportunity because I learned a lot, man. And
that see what you're summarizing is basically you do a BSc, right? A lot of medics think you do the BSc for purely the points in the final exam at the end of the whole medical course, which decides our job, right? Now, looking back, do you see a BSc is actually to learn different things, right? So I chose my BSc based on academic sort of choices and things. And when I look back, medicine would have never taught me how to properly critique a paper, plan research experiments, especially the clinical sort of research experiments. I know how to draft up right the way from asking for a protocol, for ethical approval, all of that, right the way to actually delivering the actual research paper and publishing it or presenting at a huge conference. Those things medicine doesn't teach you, right? And I think on your side as well, you wouldn't have learned any of that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have, if I didn't have that, if I didn't do that BSc or if I didn't do those modules, I would not have had the confidence at all today to if someone came to me and said, bro, I've got an amazing idea, I think it will work, I think, you know, we can help save and have impacts on millions of people, I would be a bit scared and intimidated by that. But now if someone comes to me, and people will know I'm very impulsive, like I want to get things moving and running, like, you know, straight off the bat. And it was because of that. It taught me skills that I would not have developed in medicine, like strategy, business, thinking, leadership in a different way is something a BSc gave me that I don't think I would have picked up in a standard medical degree. And those are the skills that you need. And I think it made me probably a better doctor because you think differently. You know, you change. I feel like my brain developed new neurons or whatever. Like I think in a whole different way. So that is the perks of doing a BSc or taking a year out to an intercalated BSc or MSc, whatever it is. And now you can do stuff like computer science. So we did it years ago. Now you can do even more stuff. So if you're related in tech and coding and developing, you can make it even more better.
So exactly. So I think what we've summarized and we've actually answered the number one reason to whether you want to intercalate
or not.
Right? A lot of people ask, should I intercalate or not? And I get loads of messages on Instagram, on Facebook, personally getting message, should I intercalate? And I think I always say this, that the number one reason for whether you want to intercalate or not is decide not if it's going to be the speciality that you're going to do. A lot of people think, oh, if I choose cardiology, I'm going to become a cardiologist. Or you chose innovation technology and what was it?
Regenerative medicine.
Yeah, that was some long name, bro. But anyways, you said it's for the orthopods.
Yeah, so I did it because I want to become an orthopedic surgeon.
Exactly. But it doesn't necessarily force you, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're one step ahead of all the orthopedic trainees out there.
No, not at all.
Right? What it's about is exactly that. So skill attainment and learning different things, right? So on my side, I learned all of the sort of research and all of the critiquing and understanding how it all works and how to sort of write essays and publish papers and write papers. You, on the other hand, learned the same thing and learned also on top of that the business sides of the whole world. Right? That's the number one sort of piece of advice I always give. Number two, right? What's important is then you start thinking about, you need to shine. Let's be honest out there. A degree where you've got a first class honours degree with distinctions in your masters or whatever, getting all of those accolades, they help to merit you and it gives you grounding. So then it's important to look at, right, where can I actually go and absolutely smash that BSc out, right? If I got a 2-2 at Imperial, right, and walked out with that, I would hide that degree. Right, I wouldn't tell anyone about it, right? Because I wouldn't want that, right? You need to excel at it, so you have to be tactical in your decision. Number three, I always advise people, right, that they need to look for opportunities, right, for where they can publish, where they can present their papers, their research, their knowledge. Because in that year, right, if you just get a degree and all you've done is just study, again, it's not enough. The same way we say, if you just do medicine and come out with just medicine, it's not enough. You want to go out, publish, go out and present in Spain, in whatever country. You want to do all of those things. And I think, finally, the last bit of information I always say, choose something that you've got a mild interest in. Because like you said...
Like a kebab.
Like a kebab?
Yeah.
What do you mean like a kebab?
You know when you go East London, and you order kebab and the guy goes, boss man, do you want a mild kebab, a spicy kebab?
Bro, how is a kebab relevant to my BSc advice?
No, because not the mild bit is correct, but it just reminded me, like,
you're hungry.
You know when
this at dinner time when you're hungry.
So you know when you go to East London and you're like, can I get a mild kebab?
Nah.
Do you get mild or spicy? What do you get? You get spicy?
I get mild because I start crying.
I get mild kebab. I was like, no, but it just reminded me, such a nice word to say with a mild interest. What does that even mean?
Kebabs are not the way to choose a BSc. Going back, right? You keep your kebab to yourself. Alright? Something with an interest. Because you have those days where you regret it.
Yeah,
you were sad from the 17th floor looking out.
Thinking, did I make a mistake or not?
Yeah, exactly. And I also had that side of, damn, I think I made a mistake because it was too hard. My first exam I got 2, all of those things. You have to have a passion or a slight interest in the topic. I love the heart, the cardiovascular system. So at the same time, it kept me going. For you loved orthopedics. You loved the whole startup side. So it kept you going at the same time. You love DIY.
Definitely.
And for medics especially, it's important because we're not used to that level of grind, right? The biomedical students, guys, the biochemistry student guys, and all
the
those
raw sciences, like the proper pure science.
Exactly. Those guys who do maths and all of those other things like actuarial sciences, they do some real tough subjects. Medics are not used to that.
Yeah.
So when we switch over from going from our pattern recognition and our science-based knowledge to that side of the world, it is difficult.
It's a culture shock, isn't it?
Yeah. Like a kebab.
Yeah. No. What?
See,
Oh,
you agreed, bro.
Well played.
I was testing you, yeah. So that's that. I think.
But there's one more thing that you missed out, and I remember we had it more in our BSc than yours. So with the cardiovascular or surgical science, the vast majority of people were like very academically talented, people like yourself, who kind of knew they wanted to become a cardiologist or surgeon, whatnot. But for me, we had the orthopods, so people that want to become orthopedic surgeons, that they did the BSc. But we also had a shout out to all the people I did the BSc with. Yeah. A shout out to all of them.
To all of those guys I did
a lot of fun. And yeah, shout out to everyone, I want to say that. But you know what it does as well, yeah? And this is something that kind of bugs me a lot, is your network changes. So what I mean by this is a lot of the time in medical school, you're surrounded by medics, and then you're surrounded by even more medics. It's just, and at King's, like medicine is on a whole different campus, whereas the humanities and stuff like that is in Strand or Waterloo, whatever. So we're just surrounded by medics, and to be fair and reasonable, the vast majority think in a certain way, we act in a certain way, we're all built in a similar way. I'm not saying every medic is the same, but we think in a certain way. We're very, maybe you can say it's a type of personality, the perfectionist, people that have done very well in their lives, have done very well in exams. Whereas these BScs put you in a room with other people that have other interests. One, it means you get to meet with other people, you get to do projects or do things that you may have never ever thought of doing because you get to be with people. And you know what's funny, in my BSc, I had 2 or 3 people that said to me, I'm doing medicine for the sake of medicine, but I'm never going to be a doctor. I'm going to leave and I'm going to work for a big pharma company. I'm going to work for a big pharmaceutical company or like a consulting firm, etc. But the mentality they had was different, and I never saw that in medics. So some of the people that did the BScs or they did it as part of their normal convention, they were like proper engineers. We had people doing like 3D printing, like back in when I did it. And he's like, and they say stuff like, I'm going to be the next billionaire. Do you know what I mean? That's the mentality they had. They're like, I'm going to do this, and this is just, the MBBS doesn't mean nothing for me. This is the BSc, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do this.
Forward thinking.
There used to be a guy, he basically, his thesis or his project was on 3D printing. He basically learned how to do 3D printing, and then people were paying him to do 3D printing. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So it opens up your world, and you get to meet so many different people. I did a BSc with dentists as well, and they think a bit differently to us. So doing a BSc, you get to meet people from different walks of life. Especially you got to go to Imperial, so you meet people that aren't, King's mentality or King's type. So definitely add that to the list.
I agree. Like I think, like you said, people range, and I think different communities range at different universities. The Imperial guys, shout out to them. They are forward-thinking guys. Like, they really start thinking about startups, think about how they can come out with different research projects, and they're always trying to think one step ahead of the game. So shout out to those guys. They're super competitive. Like when I went there, I developed a completely different competitive edge, right? Because when I went there, I got in my first exam, completely tanked it, and then it just ignited. Like, I'm now gonna compete against these guys, and I'm gonna get a first. So when you get it completely sharpened up my sort of competitive edge, but you're right, a BSc adds different skills, and it adds a whole new dimension to your thinking, your abilities, your skills,
100%,
and your drive as well. I agree. Would you go back and do a BSc again? Would you change anything about it?
So I describe it as a bittersweet, So there were moments I loved it, and there were moments I hated it. I'm eternally grateful for doing it. If I were to go back, I would probably do the same BSc. It's like by chance. The way I picked the BSc was between that and physiology, because I liked physiology a lot. But on the way to pick it, there was like deadlines, and I was debating between the two. And the day you had to make the final decision, I was walking down the corridor and I saw a doctor who's a doctor now, but he was a year older than us, and he did the same BSc. And I said to him, bro, look, I'm worried. I don't know what BSc I should do. And he said, because I knew he did the BSc I ended up doing, and he said, bro, the BSc is amazing. It's really good. You get to do things that no other BSc offers you, and it'll be a breath of fresh air away from medicine, so away from this normal thinking. You get to meet different people, work in a different environment, and that was the trigger thing. That was the reason. Afterwards, I thought, you know what, I trusted him, I looked up to him, and it's the whole thing with mentors. I saw him as a mentor at the time, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And at the time it was unconventional, so people, you know, if I said to you a few years ago I'm doing regenerative medicine or I'm doing innovation tech, you'd be like, what are you talking about? Medics don't do that. So that was a decision, and I'm grateful I did it. And I would highly recommend people, so if we were in this moment in time to intercalate or not to intercalate, I would always say intercalate, because the skills and the network and the things you learn and pick up is very valuable. You get to do it in a university environment, so it's a very safe environment, and you will not be, I don't think you will ever have the opportunity to do that in after you graduate, because after you graduate you become busy, you start working, and then you have to take out time of training. It's easy to take time out of medical school than it is to take time out of training, and just for the sake of the skill set you gain, man, you think differently, you act differently. 100% I would say, for me as an individual, from my experience,
you're very pro
intercalating in a BSc, that you are, like you said, mildly interested, that will allow you to develop and grow as a person, allow you to give you the opportunities. Because what it means in the BSc, you can do all the research publications, do all your poster presentations, so you don't need to worry as much about it towards the final years, when you need those points for your EPM and your SJT, etc.
I think I'm also pro BSc, again, not because of the points it gives you or anything like that, but for the reasons you gave, in the sense that, look, it's about the skills you get, it's the way your thinking changes, that extra dimension that you get. But I think we need to make it clear that it's not the only way, right? Intercalating is not the only way to get all of that. There are people who have gone out there. You just have to pick up different projects and find those opportunities. If you decide to go through medical school without intercalating, that's your choice, and that's good. And then you just have to now seek out those opportunities to then learn how to think like that, learn that specific skill. And I think there are two ways, but I think I'm also pro intercalate.
And I think it's a good point you mentioned that. It's just because you didn't do intercalated year, or let's say you had to unfortunately retake a year med school, so you didn't want to retake a year, you can still do the things you can do in intercalated BSc throughout medical school. So you can do SSCs, projects, pick up, and you can always publish and in journals and do post presentations. But I knew, for someone like me, I needed a year where I was forced to do it. So I did it, rather than someone that's very active and just did it out of their own back. Do you know what I mean? The points is 4 points or 5 points.
It gives you so first will give you 4 points, and if you have a PhD, it gives you 5. Now, in terms of 4 points, you have to put it into the grand scheme of things, right? Some people say do intercalate just for the 4 points. The SJT takes up 50 points out of 100. 50%. The other 50% comes from your decile score, from your publishing and things like that, and that's it.
And the additional degree. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and your additional degree. So spend a whole 365 days on a degree just for 4 points doesn't make sense. It's all of those other reasons that you sort of stated. So I think that's about it. Otherwise, and
another piece of advice here for people that have publications and have worked hard at it, make sure you put the PubMed ID correctly, because I missed the last number out and I lost a point.
Oh, you didn't get your point. You didn't get your point.
I dropped the whole point.
And we were on the same paper, so I got my point and he didn't.
So you drop a point, and the difference between getting the job you want or the deanery is like 0.4 or point thingy. So I dropped the whole point just because I missed the number. I copied and pasted it wrong. And I remember I emailed them and I appealed. I said, you know what, like, my name's there, everything's legit. But they said,
but your number's wrong.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I wasn't a big fond of, like, but it's all computerized and systemated, and I don't know how they do it. But be careful when you do the application, or what's it called, FPAS, when you do the FPAS application. But that's something funny to kind
of reveal in an episode as well how to get published and what to do. I think that's one of the things that people go around looking for, how to get published and how to do it in an easy way. It's quite hard sometimes.
Because especially in the first few years of medical school, you only hear publishing, but you don't really understand what it means or what does it actually entail and how do you go about doing it. And there's lots of different platforms that were set up and whatnot, and then we can kind of talk about that later on. But I think that is a whole topic itself.
It's a whole new episode, Anything else to say? Apart from get your kebabs mild?
Yeah, other than that, no, I'll just reiterate and re-emphasize, I enjoyed the BSc to a certain degree.
Like a mild kebab.
Like a mild kebab. Yeah, you know what? You know kebabs, you enjoy it, but you can't really finish it. That's the
Get
BSc.
back to the topic.
Yeah. So I enjoy that, and I learned a lot of skills and lots of things that I'm still using today, and it kind of is a reason as to why I can do a lot of the things now, which I'm grateful for. So I would recommend it, and I recommend that BSc in particular, because you get to learn things that there would no way in hell would you have learned during medical school. Like, why enough would you learn how to do a business plan or learn how to pitch?
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely.
So if you guys have any questions about intercalating, about subjects or whatever, feel free to email us. That's linked below. And if you don't want to email us, feel free to just Instagram us, directly message us. Anything else to say?
No. And for the people that want to kind of download the podcast and listen to, the Way to Work meeting, which I know a lot of people do, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes. If you just type in Scrubbed In, you're going to know what's there.
Otherwise, see you next week. Anything else to say?
No. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week, same time.
See you then.